You've got nation states that are buying the hell out of Bitcoin. You've got Fortune 500 companies that are buying the hell out of Bitcoin. I mean, you've got the biggest families, you've got the biggest companies on earth that believe in this digital store of value. Everybody wants Bitcoin. Everybody is buying Bitcoin. And that's an incredible thing. And that's why I've always said that I really believe in the next several years, Bitcoin hits $1 million. There's no question Bitcoin hits $1 million. And when you're in the room with certain people, and I had breakfast this morning with, a couple of the most powerful people in the region in the hospitality space, and you're literally sitting there trying to explain to them what digital currency is, you realize how early we all are to this race and how big of a benefit that is, right? I hear from people all the time, should I get into cryptocurrency? Did I miss it? Am I too late? And I literally start laughing at them. I go, we haven't even scratched the surface of what Bitcoin is going to be. We haven't even scratched the surface of what digital assets are going to be. This is the time to buy. Volatility is your friend. Buy right now. Shut your eyes. Hold it for the next 5 years.
So there you see the President of the United States' son, Eric Trump, saying there's no question Bitcoin hits $1 million. Are you continuing to stack sats? And with that, before we get started, make sure you guys go ahead and show us some love. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, but then also give us a follow on X. We're pretty active there. We have a lot to talk about today. There's some stuff that's been brewing while at Bitcoin Asia. Bitcoin bros were in the house. But let's get straight to it. First and foremost, Eric Trump just said that the wealthiest families in Hong Kong are looking to buy Bitcoin and crypto. So that's trillions of dollars sitting on the sideline just in one particular geographic location. As he had mentioned, he had sat down with some extremely wealthy partners or ex-partners in the real estate business in Hong Kong during his visit for Bitcoin Asia. And they are asking about Bitcoin, and they are slowly but surely getting orange pilled. At the current time of this recording, Bitcoin is coming in at 108.4K. What do we see? What do we anticipate? So looking back to the left of the charts, we see that there's a lot of confluence around this 108 range. Could we go farther down? Possibly. The levels to pay attention to the downside. If it came down over the next 3 days, you're looking around 105 to 106 range. If it came all the way down to the 50 EMA, back down to retest $100,000, where there is a lot of confluence. You see that there's a level here around the 110 area. We just fell through, but there's a lot of traffic. So we'll see if this continues or we get a bump to the upside. And then right here around that 106 range, what we called out, which is this coincides with this upward support potentially, and that's what we see. So could there be lower buying opportunities in the days to come? Probably, but starting your dollar cost averaging strategy and getting in the game is more important because time is running out. Bitcoin treasury companies are aggressively accumulating. Right here, you can see that the 108 short-term cost basis is what Bitcoin is approaching and right above the current time of this recording. So we are there. So will Bitcoin hold this mid-range and have a continuation to the upside? That upside MVRV expansion zone is around $144,000. And in the meantime, in between time, gold futures is putting in an all-time high. And why is this important to note and pay attention to? Because this always the precursor for Bitcoin's continuation. $3,500 per ounce as the market prices in rate cuts. There could be multiple rate cuts this year. And it's almost priced in that there's going to be a rate cut going into September. So once again, we hope that you are prepared. And Bitwise predicts Bitcoin will reach $1.3 million by 2035. That's within the next 10 years. You get a 28.3 annualized return. What is doing that for you in today's market? So right here, you see the current price is 107. This is the bear, the base, and the bull. So the base case is $1.3 million for 28%. And then you got the bull case by the next 10 years by $3 million. So you be the judge. Are you going to be bearish and say Bitcoin is not going to continue to do what it's been doing? or just base and bull, you're looking well over $1 million. And right here, Binance founder CZ said that Bitcoin is going to become the next world reserve currency. So, what do you think this price is going to go to if that's the case? With Bitcoin being the global reserve currency, we've never had a commodity or an asset like this. I think the most comparable thing would probably be oil, but everybody is going towards Bitcoin. Everybody's buying it. The Bitcoin arms race is amongst us. Right here, in the meantime, speaking of treasuries, the $205 billion Florida State Retirement Fund increased its position in strategy, or MSTR, by 6 million in Q2, now holding over 240,000 shares worth $80 million. So you see that, some of these public retirement funds and funds in general are getting exposure to some of these Bitcoin treasury companies, specifically strategy. Strategy's probably going to have their uplisting this year. And Adam Beck is actually weighing in and giving his take on what he sees for the future of Bitcoin treasury companies.
Actually, if you think about it, the only way for generally a company to, match Bitcoin or even potentially outperform Bitcoin is to buy Bitcoin and use the capital markets to try and increase the Bitcoin per share, operate their core business, take some of the profit, use that to buy Bitcoin, use some of the profit to expand their core business, their products, their services. So, from that point of view, I think eventually probably all companies will be Bitcoin treasury companies eventually.
And there it is from Adam Beck. He's weighing in, saying all companies will be Bitcoin treasury companies. So right now, this is an exciting time to be in this space, because fast forward 10 years, when this is the norm, and there is almost every company or global company that is a Bitcoin treasury company, it's going to be pretty boring. It's going to be pretty boring because the adoption had already taken place. So right now is the early days still for the treasury space. And looking at a treasury, mtplf sitting around $6. There's some news brewing for this as well. We went over this price action. We've showed you what we think is going to happen. We're not going to dwell on that too long. Let's get right into the news. Here's a notice regarding exercise suspension designation of the 20th to 22nd series of stock acquisition rights, with adjustment and suspension clauses issued through third-party allocation. So there's a lot of financial and legal jargon in here. What exactly does this mean? Shout out to Vincent. He made a deep dive on this. So Metaplanet's international offering analysis at $6.10 a share, roughly Bitcoin, with Bitcoin being roughly around 113,000. So basically, the price of Metaplanet has went down a bit, and Bitcoin. This was, a $5,000 delta, and Metaplanet, as we just showed you, is trading 8 cents lower. But they announced the landmark international offering up to 555 million new shares. This is designed to dramatically expand its Bitcoin holdings and strengthen the balance sheet. So he went through this on a deep dive. Basically, the pre-offering shares outstanding 722 million, maximum new shares, and then post-offering shares outstanding 1.277 billion. This represents about a 77% increase in total shares. The capital raise offers great assumption at roughly $6.10 per share. Gross proceeds 3.39 billion. 95% of that will then get ported right into Bitcoin at 3.22 billion. So, the Bitcoin purchase will be 3.06 billion. And if we just go down and look through all these numbers, you do the math by the net proceeds per share, that comes out to $5.80. So we shouldn't go back below this level. But the incremental asset per total post-offering shares is a cumulative of $2.52 that will be added per share. That's the big takeaway from this. So basically, despite dilution, each outstanding share gains around $2.52 in asset backing. So that's definitely accretive across the board. And the bigger thing that could be happening with this, all the numbers cranked, Bitcoin acquired, this is a rough guesstimate, give or take, This number could float depending on Bitcoin's price is variable, depends on how fast they can execute this. But 27,000 Bitcoin could be acquired. This was Bitcoin at 113,000. We have went down in price, so this could end up being more if they're able to raise the same stack of capital for investment purposes. So this is something that's massive and major on the horizon for Metaplanet. They hold about 18 to 19,000 Bitcoin. So this would be well over doubling their stack by one swift purchase. We'll leave you with this last clip with Eric Trump talking about why every jurisdiction needs a Simon Jerovich.
Percent a year over year that you're mining for 50 cents on the dollar is freaking awesome, right? I mean, like try going and doing that with with traditional gold. Most gold mining, you actually lose money. It's only the complicated options and other things that actually get the gold companies into kind of profit. When I see Simon, when I see him taking over an entire market that was on no one's radar when it came to Bitcoin and creating one of the fastest growing companies on earth, that's awesome. That's awesome. And by the way, that can happen in every country on earth, which is further going to catapult the very thing that we believe in. When you have Simon in every country, right, as smart, etc., doing what he's doing in Japan, he's got such a head start. But man, what that does to Bitcoin is amazing.